It just might be the greatest sports franchise in the history of sports. A place where legends are made, and there's always something to talk about. Get ready to immerse yourself in pinstripes. Start spreading the news, hosted by Paul Semendinger and E.J. Fagan, a couple of doctors with a prescription for Yankee fever. And now, here's Dr. Paul Semendinger and Dr. E.J. Fagan. Get ready to start spreading the news.
All right, my friends, I usually begin by saying, let's make today a great day. And let's make today a great day. But I'm going to get back to that in a moment because there's sadness to begin today. It doesn't mean that we can't make today great and do kind things and spread love and be good to others. All those things are true. But to start today, I just heard the news that the great John Sterling has passed.
Swung on, and there goes to deep right. It is high, it is far, and it is gone. Upper deck, ball game over. Bernie goes boom. Burn, baby, burn.
Yankees win. The Yankees win. I'm sad. Can't say it any other way. John Sterling was by far my favorite Yankees announcer. I spent more time listening to John Sterling than probably every other Yankees announcer combined. And I'll talk a lot about that because he was just great. His voice going forward and forever, going back, will always be a big part of my fandom, my love and my enjoyment of the Yankees. I first heard John Sterling in 1989 as a Yankee fan at in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania at King's College. We did not have great access to cable TV. And even if you did have cable TV, the Yankees were not easy to find, to watch. And so if you were a Yankees fan, the only way to follow the team, there weren't a lot of Yankee updates on the news either. They did a lot of high school football on WBRE, an NBC affiliate in Wilkes-Barre. I don't remember the other channels, but the only way to follow the Yankees was to listen to the WABC radio affiliate that came out of Wilkes-Barre. Now, I was a big fan of Hank Greenwald, who did the games in 1987 and 1988. I actually had a chance to meet Hank Greenwald. My mother-in-law sold him a house when he came to New Jersey to be the Yankees announcer. So that was cool. And I was sad when the Yankees didn't bring him back, and I didn't want to like John Sterling because I wanted the Yankees to keep Hank Greenwald. But very quickly, John Sterling became a part of my life indirectly. I did meet him twice, but at certain events, but I never really knew John Sterling, even though he was entered into my house basically every single night or day for decades through the radio. He was the voice of the Yankees as far as I am concerned. As far as my life is concerned, it was John Sterling. Once I got home from college, and even though the Yankees were more prevalent on TV, I was able to follow them. I quickly found that I liked listening to the way Sterling called the game rather than the guys on TV. That's not a knock on any of the TV guys, Al Troutwig and Ken Singleton and Jim Cott and all those guys, Dwayne Statz. It was just I loved the way John Sterling called the game. I loved his signature calls. I loved the unique things he would say. And it will roll all the way to the wall. Loved that. Yankees win. The Yankees win. Loved that. It's a grounds rule double. Loved that. Like everything he said, he brought energy and fun. And you know, I could almost turn on a game in the middle of the game if I was driving somewhere in my car, if I was busy and I got home and I turned the radio on. You could almost tell if the Yankees were winning or losing just by the way John was talking. Well, here's Mattingly. Oh boy, the Yankees are down. No doubt they're losing. There's just the energy isn't quite there. Mattingly steps to the plate. Well, the Yankees are winning. He's into it. Now, I used to be able to do a much better John Sterling, and maybe I could on a different day, but as you can see, I'm a little hoarse. So my voice isn't right there. But for decades, the TV and the radio, and I don't know why they stopped this. I don't know what the production point was. Maybe so people didn't do what I did, but the TV and the radio were synced perfectly. So I could watch the Yankees on TV and listen to Sterling on the radio. And that was, as far as I was concerned and am concerned, those were the most enjoyable times I ever had watching the Yankees. The production on TV was great. And the announcing of the game was equally great. Now, again, this also isn't a knock on Phil Rizzuto and Frank Messer and Bill White, who I loved. I loved them, and they were great. But I came to love them as a kid, a child, growing up to loving the Yankees. I didn't spend basically from 1989 to the early 2020s with them, of course, that long of a period. What was that? 89, 99, 09, 19. Yeah, like 30 some odd years I spent with John Sterling. And it was great. I was sad when the Yankee TV and the radio didn't sync up as much anymore. And for years, I tried to figure out a way to sync it myself, putting something on delay, but I could never make it quite work right. Sometimes I would just say, I'm going to put up with the fact that Sterling's calling the game differently than what I'm watching. And sometimes I just turn off the TV and listen to Sterling because it was a better broadcast, a more enjoyable broadcast for me. And the fact that John Sterling is no longer saddens me. It hurts me inside. Like there's an empty feeling today. Because I just loved the way he called the game. I loved the energy. I loved the perspectives he had. Well, you know, Susan, isn't that amazing? I mean, for years in talking with my family and my friends, I would use all those Sterling phrases. Isn't that amazing? And of course, I loved his home run calls. Bernie goes boom, hip, hip, Jorge, a thriller by Godzilla. Robin is Batman. Gardner plants one. An A-bomb from A-Rod. I mean, it's just, it is high. It is far. It is gone. Just classic. Classic. The absolute best. And I'm going to miss John Sterling. I know he retired, but every now and again you'd find out he's doing a radio show. If you turn on the radio right now, Sterling's on for an hour. And those radio shows were supposed to be John Sterling talking about the Yankees, but they would be filled for an hour of people just calling up and just saying, John, I just wanted to say hi, and I love you, and you're the greatest, and I love the way you call the game, and we miss you. It was supposed to be John giving his perspective, and all it was a love fest of fans, and he deserved that. It was great. I could think of so many different calls and so many different things he'd say, but I also don't want to just spend the whole time doing John Sterling reminiscences of the way I could, with a hoarse voice, try to mimic his great calls. For decades, I wouldn't consider the season over until he said, so long for the winter. Our next telecast will be on February 23rd from Clearwater, Florida, when the Yankees take on the Philadelphia Phillies. For my Yankee compadre, Michael K., this is John Sterling saying, have a great winter. But oftentimes, because I love the Yankees so much and I dislike them being away so much, a little tear would form and go down my cheek because the baseball season, as far as I was concerned, the Yankee season, which to me is the baseball season, was over. But I would never consider it over until John Sterling said goodbye. I'd stick around through the post game, through all the advertisements, and wait until John said goodbye. and then it was over. And he stopped doing that the last many years of his career, but for a long time, he would do it that way. Have a great winter, everyone. So long, or whatever. And, he was there from when I was 21 until I was into my mid-50s. It's a long time to listen to the same voice. And Dave Sims does a nice job. It's okay. It's just not the same. The energy isn't quite the same. And you could almost say, maybe if the Yankees could have brought back Red Barber or Vin Scully or Mel Allen or Phil Rizzuto and Frank Messer and Bill White and whoever, after Sterling left, maybe none of them would have been able to fill that gap for me. So it's not a knock on Dave Sims in any way. But listening to the Yankees on the radio isn't the same anymore. And to know that John Sterling won't be part of any Yankee radio casts anymore leaves an empty part of my heart and my soul today. So rest in peace, John Sterling. I hope he's in heaven. I'm sure he is, with Phil Rizzuto and maybe Bob Shepard. Bob could say, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen." And then Sterling could take over and they could announce a game together. Sterling can do the PA at the stadium. Maybe Sterling can do a game with Phil Rizzuto and Bill White. Bill White's alive, but maybe he could do a game with Phil Rizzuto up there in heaven. And maybe that'd be fun to listen to, but it's sad. All right, so rest in peace, John. There's a loyal, ginormous Yankee fandom base that will miss you and the energy and the voice and the love you brought to your profession. We'll miss that forever. God bless you, John Sterling. All right, my friends, so let's then pick up where we left off, or where we usually start. Let's make today a great day. And how do you make your day great? You look around to the good. You can look around to the good, like the great memories we have of John Sterling. And you cherish them in your heart. And then you spread them forward like I'm doing. You share the great memories. You celebrate what was a terrific life. And you give them to others. And when we spread goodness and kindness with others, you can't help but, and you can be sad. You can have a great day and be sad, but you can't help but have a great day. Because remember, when we give love, it comes back to us in greater amounts than we ever gave. So this, of course, is the Start Spreading the News Yankees show. I normally do this in the evenings, but my internet has been wonky. It just has. And I did this show already, believe it or not. I was 20 minutes in and the internet gave out. Very frustrating. It's very frustrating. I'm trying to find a way to make sure that never happens. I think the best way is to go with a hard wire, but that's going to cost a little bit of money. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to invest in all that. But I think that's going to be the best way for me to do this going forward, so I don't drop any programs. So I'm on today without EJ. Hopefully next week we get EJ again. I have a lot of night meetings, though, right now, and Mondays are very busy. And it's just very difficult for me to be able to go live because of the technical stuff and the fact that I'm not home a lot during the evenings on Monday nights. So we're recording this earlier in the day here on Monday. The Yankees are on a roll. They're winning and winning and winning and winning and winning, and they're doing better than I could have ever hoped or imagined. So I'm thrilled beyond any measure at how great they're doing. This is wonderful. Ben Rice is just, let's hope this is for real. Aaron Judge is great as always. Cody Bellinger is solid as always. The starting pitching has just been brilliant beyond measure. And the Yankees have holes. There's things they need to do. I'm nervous when it's a close game and you're bringing in Paul Blackburn in the 8th or 7th or 8th inning. That's not exactly confidence building or awe inspiring. That's nerve wracking. But the Yankees made a decision yesterday evening that is out of character. And there's been a lot of people writing about this. I've now written about it on the Yankees site, Start Spreading the News. I wrote about it yesterday. EJ has his own podcast, which we'll put up on the blog. Andy Singer wrote an article about this. Tim Cable put it in his article today about this. A lot of people are talking about this because it's really a minor thing in so many ways, but it's a major Yankee move that may be signifying something bigger and something better. Now, let me take a step back. I said this, I was on Keith Engel and Jack Hirsch's show earlier today, and I made this point because I always feel you have to make this point because there are so many fans that just don't understand. I like every Yankee, except if you're like a horrible human being who does terrible things. Those guys, yeah, all right, we'll put them in their category of their own. We know who they are. I don't even like to say their names. The really bad guys who are Yankees. But your average, typical run-of-the-mill baseball player, of course I like them. I want to like them. I want to root for them. You know, I've been critical of Giancarlo Stanton. He's one of my favorite players on the Yankees. He's been injured all the time. He's vastly underperformed. He's frustrating. He can't run. He can't field. He's streaky. But he's still one of my favorite players. As a player and as a human being, I'm a big Giancarlo Stanton fan. I can be critical of his performance on the field and still be a fan of his. I'm not a big fan of the manager, Aaron Boone. I'm sure the person, Aaron Boone, is a good guy. I would love to have a show where I say for an hour, I was wrong about Aaron Boone. The same thing, like writing it on the blackboard. I won't talk in class. I'll write 100 times. I'll say it for an hour. I won't really do this. It would be tedious, but I was wrong about Aaron Boone. I'd love to have a show like that after he wins the World Series. I don't think I will. But when I'm critical of Aaron Boone, it's not that I don't have respect for the human being. It's I don't think in regard to being the manager of the Yankees, he does a good job. And I don't think that the player, Anthony Volpe, not the person. I root for Anthony Volpe. I want Anthony Volpe to be great. But the player, Anthony Volpe, has not been very good. He's been a huge disappointment, and he's underperformed by great measures as a Yankee. Well, that's his whole career. And he was set to come off the rehab list or however they massage the names on rosters. And his time to be brought up to the big league club was this past weekend. And instead of bringing him up, the Yankees optioned him to AAA. And that was exactly the right move. And it's earth-shattering because it goes against the way the Yankees have operated through the entirety of the Aaron Boone era. Much of the Aaron Boone era has been not playing time based on performance. It's playing time based on, well, you're Anthony Volpe. You're the shortstop. We don't care how you do. And now, for the first time, maybe forever, or one of the very rare times I've seen the Yankees do this, they didn't just give the job back to the player. Now, if the player's Aaron Judge, who's a superstar, you absolutely give him the job back. Absolutely, 100%. But if it's an underperforming player now in his fourth season, you don't just say, well, yeah, you get the job back, Anthony. Good job. We'll put you back at shortstop and watch you underperform for a while. That's not how it should work. And that's not how it did work. That's the amazing thing. It's exactly what the Yankees didn't do. And I couldn't be happier. Not because I want Anthony Volpe in the minor leagues, but because I want Anthony Volpe to earn the job to be the Yankees shortstop. Because the guy doing it right now, Jose Caballero, is playing out of his mind. He's doing great. And I had an article, and it's still up there, and you can read it on Start Spreading the News, where I said that right now the better player is Jose Caballero. And because he's the better player, he should be the guy playing. You don't just say, well, Jose, I know you're playing out of your mind. The Yankees are winning all the time. You're doing a great job. You're leading the league in stolen bases. You're doing everything you're supposed to do as our shortstop. You're making most plays. You're doing great. But Anthony's back, so you're on the bench. That's just not how you should operate a major league team that's considering winning the World Series. You should say, you're doing a great job. You're doing everything we need you to do. You're overperforming. You will keep playing. And that's when you say to Anthony Volpe, you were okay during your rehab. You weren't great. You need more time. Do you want to be the starting shortstop on the Yankees, Mr. Volpe? Well, if so, go down there to AAA, go play for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and tear up the International League. Hit 380. Hit some home runs. Play stellar defense. If you want to come back, show us you're ready to come back. That's what Jason Dominguez did. He was on fire the whole time in the minor leagues. And now it's Anthony Volpe's turn. And if Anthony Volpe does that, and the Yankees bring him back because he's playing exceptional baseball, then that's great. Let him play shortstop. But don't bring him back when the guy playing there is doing a great job and Volpe's not doing a great job and hasn't done a great job. So I'm very impressed that the Yankees are operating like a sane, logical Major League Baseball organization that has designs on winning the World Series. That's a World Series type of move. Play the better player. And I'm proud of the Yankees, and I'm thrilled with the Yankees for doing that. And I hope Anthony Volpe does so great in the minor leagues that he makes this decision impossible for Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman. Well, who should play? Caballero's playing great. Volpe's playing great in the minor leagues. What do we do? That would be a great problem to have. But don't just give the guy the job because he had the job last year and the year before and the year before, and he underperformed in those roles. Again, if you're a superstar and you're hurt, you come back when you're ready and physically ready. Yeah, you get the job. You're Aaron Judge, you get the job. You're Lou Gehrig, you get the job. You're Anthony Volpe? No, not so much. You got to earn it again, bud. And I hope he does. And I hope he does. The Yankees are playing out of their mind. As I said, I think they need some help in their bullpen. I would love their bullpen to improve itself and to get better and better. There's a lot of talk about Spencer Jones hitting great in the minor leagues, but he's still striking out more than once a game. I have not sold on Spencer Jones. I think a lot of people are. One of us will be right. One of us will be wrong. One perspective is right. One perspective is wrong. If I were the Yankees, I would have traded Spencer Jones years ago. He's not like very young anymore either. He's mid-20s. Maybe he's 25, 26. Maybe he's 24, but he's not a young up-and-comer. He's got tremendous power, and he also has a tremendous ability to whiff. And if he's whiffed this much in the minor leagues, I just don't see him making great contact in the major leagues. If there's a team out there that has a top reliever or two top relievers or a star third baseman or whatever, and they would trade that player or those players for Spencer Jones, I don't see Spencer Jones having a role on this team. And again, I hope he does. I hope he becomes a superstar. But if the Yankees can move him to shore up their bullpen a bit, with some big-time legitimate arms, not big-time arms like Jake Bird and Camilo Doval, who might be pretty good maybe if you look upside down and you twist their numbers in weird sorts of ways, which is the way the Yankees have operated for a long time. Well, I know his statistics aren't really good, but he really could be good, maybe quite if we, whatever. It's just a silly way to operate. But if there's a good big-time real pitcher, a couple of real good middle relievers who have a track record of being really good, and you can solidify the bullpen, I think I would do that. I'd make some trades here. And if it means you'd have to move on from Spencer Jones, I'd be okay with that. That'd be interesting because I think that bullpen is, and third base, but I think the bullpen is the big weakness the Yankees have right now. It's just not very good. The names aren't there, and the guys who are pitching are erratic at best. And this team could really be on the precipice of something great if they address that bullpen. All right, my dear friends, I'd like to remind you that this show was brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia, a great publisher who has published many of my fine books, including the least among them, Roy White's From Compton to the Bronx, 365.2, Scattering the Ashes, and of course, the brand new The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number. Go to AP Books, check out their wide selection of great books across all sorts of different genres. But since we're at just about the halfway mark, I'm going to wrap this baby up because the internet didn't hurt me. Go to AP Books. Also, don't forget that Sunbury Books has published the first of my great of 3 West Point at Gettysburg series. Go get those books. Well, only the first one's published right now. Go get that first book, West Point at Gettysburg, Volume 1. Great stuff. Thank you for watching. God bless you, John Sterling. You will be missed, and you will be in my heart in a special part because I'll remember all those games I listened to you and all the happy joys you brought me and my family for decades. Have a great day, everybody. When you spread love, when you give love, it'll come back to you in greater amounts and in ways you never quite thought possible. Have a great day. Take care.